Welcome back to Grump's Barn, where today, this is not the video that I thought I was going to be making. Well, definitely not the one I thought I was going to be putting up anyway. This is the video I thought I was going to be making. What am I fucking talking about? Nah. Yes, I'm a moron. Originally, you would have been watching before this a video I made the other day at the classic show up at John O'Groats, like I did last year. I went up there and filmed it all and got back and checked the footage and the camera died. All that overexposure and everything was just the camera on its way out. It seems to not be able to control the light levels properly anymore. So this is being filmed on my phone, which is not the best camera in the world because it's a very old smartphone. I don't even use it as a smartphone, I use it as an MP3 player, but there you go. Anywho, let's get on with this. Today, as you can see, hang on a minute, how do I do this? Oh, bloody thing, I don't know how to control this damn phone. Right, as you can see, we had the freeloader in, finally. The old girl hasn't fallen apart yet. So I took her up to that classic show the other day. It's what, about 30 miles from here. Took an hour each way. Yeah, she's fast, I tell you. It's a problem with having the original 1960 running gear. Anywho, that's not what we're here for. What we are here for is to do the handbrake cables on this lovely old machine that I love so much and that truly loves me. What the fuck is it going to do to me today? Yep, handbrake cables it is. So first job is to get these wheel nuts loosened on the back. Then we can jack her up, get her on axle stands, and then get the wheels off. That's the first job. Alright, you'll see now we're up in the air on the axle stands. Jack's been left under there just in case. So even if something does get knocked or whatever, it'll still be fine. Next job is to get this off. Now, these screws can be a complete pain in the arse, but I know these ones aren't very tight because I loosened them right off a long time ago, put anti-seize on, and then put them in only finger tight. What you normally have to do with these to get them out is either use an impact screwdriver or use a nice screwdriver like this one. This is a hammer through one. You can hammer on that end. And you just put it into your screw, hammer on the end of it, and as you're hammering on it, turn it. It will normally get these things out. There should be two in here, but there's only one on this. There might only be one on the other side as well. There again, they're only to hold this on before you put the wheel on. Stop it rattling about. Now comes the fun of trying to get it off. Now getting it off, I'm going to have to beat it with a hammer. I can't do that one-handed because I need to be around the place, but you need to beat the front of it here till it comes loose. And then slowly pull it off. That one is loosening up already, which is nice. Right, I'll get back to you as soon as I've done that. There we go, with a bit of judicious hammering and levering. This little lever bar comes in very handy. gently put it in between the drum and the back plate. Give it a nice little tweak. Don't do it too hard, because although these back plates are pretty thick, they're not beyond being bent. So take it easy. You just basically lever behind it slightly and give it a thump with a hammer on the other side of it. And just keep doing that a few times and they should waggle free. If they've been on there a hell of a long time, then, well, there are other videos on YouTube to tell you how to get them off like that. But it can be a complete pain in the bloody arse. Alright, now while we're under here, I can now see one of the bolts I've got to take off, just here. Now this is going to be a pain in the arse because the top of this bolt, here it is, there, not there. Let's see if I can get you in there. I don't know if you can see that. No, I don't think I can get round to it properly. There we are. Just there. That is a bolt into a captive nut. And unfortunately, the top of the bolt, which I don't think you can see, up here. Oh, might be able to. Ooh. Is out in the open. So that means that rots nicely. Which means it may or may not want to come undone. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is get a wire brush on that and get off as much rust as I can. There's a bit on it. Doesn't seem too bad. I managed to flick some off with my finger, so we shall see, because that needs to come undone. And I need to get down to the bottom of here. This bottom bit here. This is what controls it. This is what works a handbrake. And this little bit at the end here, there's a waggly arm on it that always seizes up. We'll deal with that in a bit. Hopefully it won't be seized. Now I'm hoping to get away with just undoing these clips here and here that hold the brake shoe assembly to the back plate. I might then be able to get everything disconnected if I'm lucky. Because this here, as I say, this is your arm that moves. It's also where your handbrake cable comes in and locks in behind. To disconnect it, you just literally pull this out against the spring pressure on this part of it, and it just pulls out of its little holder. There's only a spring pressure here that's holding this in. There's nowhere for it to go. As I say, this arm here, this little pivot point there, is what seizes up all the time on these. So if your handbrake's sticking, 9 times out of 10, that's what's causing it. They go absolutely solid. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with it. Thankfully, these clips haven't been on there very long. They clip up onto the post in there. Oop. Sorry, I'm getting used to this bloody camera. They clip over that and hold it firmly in place, and obviously there's another one this side here clipped on that one. Easiest way of getting these off, if you're lucky, and these ones came off very easily because they haven't been on there that long, thankfully, is to just get a, well, I use this little pry bar, but a big screwdriver will do. Get it in there when it's on the post and then just hit it down to hopefully knock it off. If you're lucky, that'll happen. 9 times out of 10 you'll just hit them once and they'll fall to pieces because they're usually rotted to buggery. But I redid all this not that long ago. Alright, so now I'm going to take this off of here. Might possibly have to remove this bottom spring first. This one running along here, because I need these. I need to get this arm out ready just to check its function and everything. I mean, you can do it just by pulling this out, but I think I might well take that spring off. If you do take springs off, make a note of where they are and the holes that they go into. I don't know if you can see that properly. I can't see the screen from this angle properly. But there you go. Yeah, make a note of which holes they're in. Although actually with this one I think there are only 2 holes, so I don't think you can go wrong. And if you're not sure about anything like that, take a picture. Get your camera or your phone or whatever, take a picture of everything as it's set up, so you know when it comes to putting it back on that you're doing it right. Oh, well, there we go. Because this is so bloody knackered, actually very easy to move, I just put this little pry bar under there. You can use yourself a screwdriver or whatever, lifted it out slightly, then pushed it back, and now it's ready to pop out. There we go. That has now disconnected itself from the arm. Now this arm should be free to move. Let's have a look. Oh, it moves a bit. Well, that's not too bad. That's better than a lot of them. I should be cleaning that up some and giving it some anti-seize before I put it all back together. Right, now I think I shall go around the other side now and take the other side off and get it to the same position as this one. And I shall also, as I say, run a wire brush over that bolt back there, because there are 2 bolts holding each of these handbrake cables on. The other one's further up underneath. And the other one actually goes straight into a hole. It's not open at the back end, so there's a possibility it might come out. Maybe. We shall see. Here we have a rare success story. 1 bolt out. There we are. What a twat that was. I think it's supposed to be a 10mm head on these, but a 10mm was too loose. I was like giving it a bash to get the rust off it. 10mm too loose, 3/8 slightly too loose. In the end I had to hammer a 9mm onto it, but that held it nice and firmly, and after a lot of cleaning from above with the old wire brush, which is a bit of a twat to get at because you've got to get right in under here. Still rust falling off now, even after all that. A lot of wire brushing, poking with a screwdriver to break up the rust. You can't hammer it anywhere near it because there's no way you can get at it, and you've got a bloody fuel tank not too far from it. All I had to do was just loosen it very, very slowly. Turn it about a quarter of a turn at a time. Clean it off again with a wire brush, turn it another quarter of a turn, another wire brush. And bashing it with the screwdriver to break off any other deposits. And thankfully this time it worked. Whether it'll work on the other side, I doubt very much, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. So there we go, proof that good things can happen with a freeloader. Bloody hell. Right, let's get on. Right, now this looks like I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I will show you what I've done in a minute. I've got to do the other side yet. This is the second side. That drum did not want to come off. It's a mess. I'm considering replacing it, but for now it is usable. The main face of everything's all fine. It's just the sealing lip on the back of it that stops a massive amount of water and that getting into your back plate is falling apart. It's that old and rotten. Right, now I've got this one off, and I've even got that out because there's supposed to be lots of tines here that stick out and hold it in place. They've all rotted off. I haven't touched that bolt there, I've only cleaned it up. But I shall be taking that out in a bit if I'm lucky. But first I'm going to go back around the other side and I'm going to take off the other brake shoes. I've just had to, this is the handbrake linkage that goes between the two brake shoes. And this is the bit that moves and operates it. That was absolutely jam solid, which is why it's now got mole grips sitting on it, because I had to free it up with them. That is now fully free and working properly. Oh, that's very hard to show you. Should just better push it. There we go. It moves it nice and easily. All it needs now is some anti-seize on there to lubricate it and stop it seizing up again so quickly. I last did this about a year and a half ago, something like that. Seized up in the meantime. Pain in the arse. Right, let's get back around the other side. Right, first thing to do is disconnect the bottom spring. Now what I do is get something behind this end of the spring that's sitting in the hole over here. I've just used a teeny little pry bar or screwdriver will do it. You get it, hang on, sorry, I'm trying to get used to this fucking phone. Get it in behind it, jam it in behind the spring, and then knock it gently with a hammer. That's what I do, and it just pushes the end of the spring out of the hole, and then it will just ping out on its own because you've got something behind it pulling on it, so it just pings out. Right, when you've got that one out, putting them back in is a complete pain in the arse as well. They're a fucking nightmare because they're very strong, those little springs. What we're now going to do is disconnect this lever, which is the handbrake control lever, from the brake shoes. Then we can pull the brake shoes off the top, and I've also got a cable tie or zip tie or whatever you call them where you are, that I shall be putting around the piston, the caliper at the top of it to hold the pistons in. So I'll just literally wrap it around it and just gently tighten it a little bit just to stop the pistons from popping out, because they have a habit of slowly working their way out if there's nothing holding them in place once you've got the shoes removed from them. So yeah, first thing to do is waggle this. Oh, there isn't on this one, but there should be a spring from here up onto here, this back plate bit, to stop this rattling about. But to be honest, these things, this one has never had a spring on there because it didn't come in the last kit I had. Never noticed it rattling, and it sees solid now anyway, so it's not going anywhere, whatever that thing is and whatever it does. So yeah, just got to disconnect it from here. It's a case of waggling this about and pulling the shoe away from it, but I can't really do that one-handed. There we are, it's now pulled out, separated, and that will now come off because it only just slides on the other shoe. I shall give this a good old waggle about and get it cleaned up, get any rot off there. Doesn't appear to be anything really. Just needs a damn good freeing up and some anti-seize putting on it to stop it rotting up again. Right, now what I'm going to do is pull these shoes away against the spring pressure. Again, I can't really do it one-handed, but you've got to pull this shoe out and pull it off of the end of here, and do the same with the other bit. Then you can just lift the shoes away and then get your cable tie and stick it round there. Well, this is fun. I've just got my new camera and I filmed lots of footage on it, and it's shit. in low light it's rubbish. So I've had to bring the old camera back, which is absolutely useless outside or in anything where there's light. It overexposes everything, but it's fine in the dark. And it's pretty dark in here at the moment, and that looks great, doesn't it? But there you go, right. Everything's off. Everything's treated. This now moves very, very freely. And I have now got all the bolts out. Well, I'll explain that to you in a second, what I mean by that. Look at that, look how bright that is. This thing just, oh, it thinks it's in night mode the whole time. Right, let me just get down a minute. Right, here we are underneath the car. And this here is where there was a bolt. There's now a hole where the bolt used to be. It all had to be cut off. That one was going nowhere. I tickled all the bolts with a blowtorch. Get them nice and heated up. But although it did work on 2 of them. Yeah, if you haven't used a blowtorch or anything like that, you just heat it up till it's till the bolt's just starting to glow a little bit. Then leave it to cool completely. Then try and undo it. A hell of a lot of the time it does work. That is where the other bolt was. It was holding this driver's side handbrake cable on. Managed to come out quite nicely. And the other one on the other side, you can just see over there in the middle of the picture. Again, managed to get it out. There is one other thing you need to know on these. The right hand handbrake cable, driver's side that is, in the UK. There is up here, just there, there's a plastic clip that the handbrake cable clips into. Obviously stops it waggling around too much, damaging itself by the side of the fuel tank there. Now I'm going to have to go over everything I did as well, because all my footage I also shot with a new camera. At some point, I don't know how I did it, I must have pushed a button accidentally and it turned the volume off. So I've got a shitload of footage that's semi-dark and no sound. So completely unusable. And it's not going to be very helpful for explaining how to take these damn things off. As you see, everything's off at the moment. Right, so here we are under the middle of the car. And you'll see, if I move myself over a little, these holes here are where the rubber grommets go for the cable. You'll see when you're taking the 2 cables come down here. They go up in through here, these holes into the car, and there are big rubber grommets that you can't mistake for anything else. They just push into those gaps. And here you'll see we have 2 nuts. These will have bolts protruding from them that need to be cleaned up thoroughly, because you have to take the damn things out. I'll show you above what they're for in a minute. But you need to clean those up very thoroughly, because you've got to take those bolts out, as I say, and they will almost certainly be rusty, even if you live in a normal place. Unlike here, where they were just heavily bloody rotted and took a lot of cleaning up. Right, so to summarise up to now, once you've taken off your drums, you then take off the brake shoes. Once you've taken off the brake shoes and disconnected obviously the cable from the brake shoes. I showed you that. You then have to disconnect the cable from this hole here in the back of the back plate. As you saw in mine, they just pulled out. They shouldn't do. There are tangs that stop that under normal use, like an inverted Christmas tree. And once it's come through from this side into the inside, it can't go back out again. So you've got to press those together with some pliers or similar. Something like that would do you. Just to press them together so you can waggle the thing out. Once you've got it out from there, you've then got to undo the 4 bolts that I've showed you, the 2 at the back here and the 2 halfway along. Good luck with getting those out. And then the final job is to get inside the car, and I'll show you that now. Now inside the car, you will need to mess about with this center console. First job is at the back here. This one had a cover plate that just prizes off. Some of them have an ashtray in there. With those, you take the ashtray out, and there's an electrical connector there. You just disconnect that. In this car, it's not used; it's just sitting there doing nothing because I don't have the ashtray or anything in this one. Then, to make things easier on yourself, I'd recommend taking out this. You see there's the armrest with a tray under it. That's got 4 screws in one in each corner. Just undo those, pull that out, and that'll allow you to see down into the handbrake mechanism from here and there. Because what you need to do next is get a screwdriver. You can see in the corner here there's a screw. There's one at the back corner there. Then you need to go to the handbrake lever here. Oh, we've got a bit too much dark there. If you look in there, you can see 2 screws. They sit under this cover here. Again, it needs to be prized out. You just loosen those screws. Once you've loosened the screws, you can then pull this whole console back. You have to pull it back because you then have 2 bolts. One there and one there. The ones that I showed you underneath that I said needed a damn good clean up. You need to undo those because they're holding this in place. Now your cables will be sitting in that. And you have to undo it completely because underneath it has these slots that the inner part of the cable can come out of to allow you to get the bloody nipples out. They're on the ends of the cable because those nipples will not pass through these tubes. This is obviously done as a safety thing to keep everything in place. Yeah, that would be bolted down there with your cables coming through, and then after that you will have this compensator here. Now this is actually attached normally this long thread here with the spring on it. That goes through the middle of this compensator. I'll take it apart a minute. In the middle of the compensator you've got that barrel. Goes through that, which just sits inside there. And on the end of it you have a nut with a 12mm head. That is your adjuster nut for adjusting your handbrake. That has to be taken off, obviously, so you can then get this compensator out. Now to get your cables out of this compensator is very easy. You'll see there's a hole there for the nipple to sit in, and there's a cut there. You put in your cable at the side, push the nipple in there, and then turn the whole thing through 90 degrees. I'll show you in a second. The one compensator and one nipple. Hang on a minute. Get one. Oh, there we go. There's one here. So I grab that there. That just fits in there. Pushes in. And then you can turn it through 90 degrees and it's locked in place then. You know, obviously the exact same with the other one. And obviously to get them out, turn it through 90 degrees, then just push the nipple out. And there you go. Simple stuff. Yeah. Yeah, there's the rubber bits, the grommets. Stop crap getting in through the floor. Right. Now I've got to start putting these back together. To do it, you've got two cables that are both numbered differently. We have, as you can see, it's too light. Let's get the light out. There we go. That's one of them, 190. And the other one is 180. I can't remember which is which now. I did have it on another bit of video, but now that has no sound. The only difference between the two cables is these. The orientation of them. They're both reversed from each other. The one goes this way and has a tang on it. And the other one goes the other way and has the tang on it. Yeah, see, this one comes towards me with the tang up, that one goes away from me with the tang up. And these ones are both angled, obviously at the opposite angles to fit onto the bits. And it's pretty obvious which is which. If you put a go underneath the car, you better spot it straight away. It's not difficult. Honest. So what I've now got to do is get under there and get these into position under the car and get some bolts. In fact, the first thing is me to get some bolts because I've got to replace two of them. One of them was completely knackered, the back one I got off. Head was knackered on it. Everything else isn't too wonderful. But the two shorter ones that I got out from the other part, actually, they're fine. Completely reusable, which is a good thing because I don't think I've got any M8s that small. Right, let's get some bolts. Right, now I've pushed the end of this cable just up through the slot there. And then you have to bend the cable round, hold it in position whilst putting this nut in, and making sure that this tang here goes into a little slot at the top of the hole. You've got a hole there. Hang on, I'll see what I'm doing. Hole there, and you've got a slot there and a slot there. You can put it in either way, apparently. I don't know why they do both ways. But that's what you've got to do, is bend it round, get it in there, get that bolt in. Believe me, it's a pain in the arse. Now I've got to go down to this one. Yeah. I'm going to have to bend this round until it lines up with this over here. And again, you have your hole for your bolt, and there's a hole behind there for the tang here to go into. And then you've got to get your bolt in. Oh, that's all a fiddle. Right, I've got that loosely held in there for the moment. Now this is that like reverse Christmas tree I was talking about. All little tangs. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to slide it through this back plate. I might need two hands to get it in place actually. Hang on. Yep, it's a two-handed job. Got it in now, I just need to push it right in completely so the tangs then engage, clip into place. No, I can't do it one-handed. No. So that's all you do, is put it in through there and push it hard from behind, and it will just clip in and lock. That's it, it's now fully in there. And you hear a nice click as it locks in, and that's not going anywhere. Now all I've got to do is finish tightening up this bolt. Now I can go and line up the other one. Get that into place before I worry about fixing the front end of it back up again. Just a quick tip when you're coming to putting these back together. When you are putting this cable back into its arm, its operating lever, you just pull back the spring, slide that into the slot, like that, and then put it down behind the lever. Right. I'm not succeeding doing them one-handed. Go on, you little twat. Hang on. Like that. It just pushes down behind there. And then make sure that when you're putting everything back together, this spring and cable are sitting underneath that tang that's sticking up here, with my fingers flapping about next to it. And there's a little ball there as well to try and keep it in that position, because that just stops it flailing about and affecting your brakes when you're using them. You don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about this exact point in time, but when you come to putting it back together, make sure that that is set up like that. Otherwise, you could have problems with your brakes. Right, back inside the car. Now I'm going to fit this compensator or equalizer, whatever you fucking call it. Now, the two handbrake cables both sitting here. Just pull those to the fullest extent for the minute to make it easier to do this. And obviously this left hand one's got to go in the left part of this, and the right's got to go in the right part. And there's only one way you can put this round, and that's with this open end here. You can see the slot all the way across, facing towards the back of the car. So if you then, see if I can do this, might be able to get one of them in without on camera. You push the nipple in like that, and then twist it. And there you go, it's now locked. Now I've got to do the other one, but I need to turn it round towards the back here to get this one slotted in. I can't do that one-handed. There you go, it's now on there. I'm also now going to get this, put it over the top of these cables. I don't know if I can do this one-handed either, because I need to pull the cables apart slightly. Here we go, it's going. No, I can't do it one-handed. I'm going to have to slip it down there and slip it back onto these. Put this over there, both sides. There we go, that's that now slid down into position, and you can see the handbrake cable outers just sticking out slightly of there. They are going to be bolted down, but not yet. Before that, I need to get the pin back in here with the hole in it. This clevis here. I'm going to push that back down into there, pull up the handbrake cable, the handbrake lever, and then slowly lower it so that that bit with the spring on down here, which is a long screw thread, will push through the hole in this clevis that will be sitting in there. So I definitely need two hands for that. So there we go, you can now see that thread poking out through there. I've just got to put the old adjuster back on there now. This is a barrel nut basically. that one there with its 12mm head, but I can't do that one-handed either. I need to hold everything together or it's all going to move. There we go, that's now sitting on there, only loose. Do not try and tighten it up in any way yet. I'm not even going to bother tightening down these other two yet, even though I probably could. Not until I've got the back end back together and got it all clipped in there. Once everything's all clipped in there, in the way by clipped in I mean the handbrake cables clipped back into their sockets and the brake shoes back in, then I'll come back up here and finish all this off. Right, that's the brake shoes back on. I'm not going to show you how to do that because it's a fucking nightmare. Basically, you pull these two apart, takes your cable tie, zip tie, whatever you want to call it, off of your slave cylinder and get those two ends on. When you're putting this back on as well, make sure that obviously the handbrake cable is sitting behind everything. Then what you do is you clip in this handbrake operating bar, clips in this end first on this side, then clip in the handbrake operating part. And once you've done that, put your spring back on at the bottom and be prepared for lots of fun trying to get the spring back into its hole there. If you put in the plain end first, the other end has a slight bend, outer bend on the hook, which makes it much easier to get it in. Believe me, it's not easy, but it makes it easier because it means that once it gets to the hole, it then slides in of its own accord, whereas the other end is a very, very tight loop and it's almost impossible to get the damn thing in. It's bad enough trying to get it in with it just free. Right, I now need to get the new posts out. I've got two posts to put in, one in here and one in here. Posts and clips to hold these back. Once these are held back, then I'll connect up the handbrake. There we go, new clips and posts in. Those clips are a pain in the fucking arse. That's putting it politely. You push the pin through from the back, get your clip, press it down with something. I was using that little pry bar. And then with 3 hands and a lot of swearing, you can then push it forward so it clips in. Oh, I hate them. And there we go. Handbrake cable is now clipped in, and it is definitely down behind the little tang that sits on the operating bar that I showed you earlier. So that's this side done. I can put the drum back on now and go and do the other side. Right, now I've got both the back end sides done, everything's clipped back in. I can now put these two bolts in on this holder there. Bolt that back down. Now those are tightened down over there nicely. I'm now taking up the slack on the handbrake cable. And it's a pain in the arse because there isn't really much room to get in here. Right, now I've just been adjusting this centre nut. If you look, it's way along now. There's a lot of thread sticking out the end here. Basically adjusting it up until when I pulled it to the third click, it was fully locked up at the back. And then obviously making sure that once you've lit the handbrake off, that your wheels still turn freely, like they're supposed to. Right, that's the adjustment done. That adjustment will need to be done again in the next week or two as well, because the cable will stretch. they always do initially. Then they only need adjusting periodically after that. But that's that done. All I've got to do now is do up these 4 screws, 2 at the back, 2 at the front there, put the top back in here and clip the covers back on, and that's it done. So there we go, all finished. It only took 3 cameras and a couple of fucking days of pissing about. But there you go, I hope that was useful. And as ever, look after yourselves. I know I don't. Take care, people. Bye.